I guess we've been here for 30 years in this location on 34 Carmine Street. For a start, we, uh, the name Unoppressive Non-Imperialist Bargain Books has always had an astonishing response from people. It's always so much fun to watch people do a double take on the name. You know, it is long-winded, but it's fun. People often try to say, "Well, what does that mean?" You know, and I just explain. You know, we're not Barnes and Noble, basically. We're not Amazon. We're the unoppressive bookseller. We're not trying to take over the world. We're non-imperialist, and we do sell a lot of books of the left, indeed, but it's not all that we do. And what we do is we get abundance of really choice titles that at well below half price, and from sources that mostly they sort out returns from other bookstores, overstocks, but we take just a mere 7% of what's out there as the good ones. You know, we're very careful about what we offer here, and the most fun part of it. Doing this is watching, especially new customers that walk in and they start walking around. They're like, "Where have you been all my life?" You know, they get so excited that you're seeing their eyes, their faces light up. It's always probably the most fun part of the job, you know, aside from procuring all the good books, you know. Well, of course, the pandemic shut us down for several months, and a year ago, and then even many months more, it was pretty much desolate around the village. It was barely worth trying to open, except just for the heck of it. And we had subtenants who are still kind of lingering, but don't pay any rent. We have, I find, we do get a bunch of new people just roaming, you know, looking for something to do, because there's not too many stores even open in general of any sort. So many shut down, and they're always all the more thrilled to see us back here. I get every day. I get like, "I'm so glad you're still here." You know, even if they never heard of us, they're still so glad we still exist. And we get discovered more, funny enough, because people are like, "Oh, what, you know, I used to work every day. I never had time to walk around." You know, and but then again, you know, there's hardly any tourists except maybe the ones that walk down from Chelsea. There's hardly any people living in the buildings anymore. They've all moved out. There's it's just, you know, much reduced population in general of any sort, and so, you know, we squeak by. I mean, on the other hand, this silver lining that sort of occurs is that there's like a forced leniency on the part of, whether it's the landlord or the utilities or anything. They're like, "Whoa, you know, this is a crisis. You can't evict us right now. You know, you can't." And other silver lining, I hardly can call it silver. It's more like I don't know, trim of silver, I suppose. A little tiny thin trim of silver is, you know, as I said, we meet more and more new people, and we get to relax a little bit. You know, it's like I used to work 7 days a week, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and now it's like not so necessary anymore. It's like my mom said to me, "Wow, you know, it's like, just think, you don't have to work every single day anymore." And I said, "Yeah, it's almost as if I made this happen." And she goes, "Don't tell anybody," you know. She's like 94 years old, you know, but so, you know, it's still fun. That's the main thing. Doing this has always been enjoyable, and that hasn't really changed. It's just the scale is a little bit smaller. People love books. They're not gonna, I mean, and we're in a special place in New York. People are crazy about books here in particular, but I think the obvious implication is what's going to happen when the internet takes over all of retail. Like, why would anybody ever go shopping for anything? And for me especially, my books are more of an impulse thing. I mean, you can't The thing is, even with Amazon, how do you know what you want? It's like a million different books. Here I feature things, I pile things up, and I get people's attention for things that they're like, wow, I've heard of this, but I can't believe it. It's right here in front of me for only $7, And we easily can compete, except for the fact the real tricky thing, of course, is the cost of real estate, and I'm thinking with all these empty stores everywhere, maybe there's a chance things will be alleviated somewhat in that level. There's no telling where things are going, really, in terms of this ongoing crisis. How long will it go on? What's the full implications to the economy in general, to people's sanity in general, et cetera, et cetera. But I think I don't know. I think bookstores are going to take over the world eventually. I think that ultimately what's going to happen is that we're going to have a bookstore revolution, and booksellers are going to basically take over all the empty spaces and just, inhabit them and live in them, and start little bookstore communes, and literally, become there's a bookstore called Blue Stocking, which is all the way down near Delancey Street, which is kind of feminist, LGBT, and they have a community. They have a cafe. They have a giant space they moved into from a much smaller space they got kicked out of. So there's always another landlord or situation. I'm half kidding, of course, about the revolutionary stuff, but only half kidding. I mean, I think that booksellers are exactly the antidote to the right-wing kind of mentality of like taking over Congress and kicking, the congressman in the butt or something. I think it's more like a revolution of an intellectual and spiritual revolution. And I'm pretty confident that looking at all the young people I see that get so excited here, we were the Bernie Sanders headquarters in the West Village during the primaries 4 years ago, when he was running against Hillary. And so I think I'm inspired by young people that I meet all the time. I think that there's a lot of excitement about books in general and bookstores as a phenomenon. So I'm kind of cautionary, I kind of have a cautionary optimism. That is to say, there is no telling what's going to happen next these days. Everything is a big surprise. But I'm counting on that silver lining that I was speaking about getting thicker and thicker over time.